Hi guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. I am super excited, kind of nervous to film this video. We are going to be doing a payday routine. So I'm basically going to take you through what I do once I get a paycheck, where my money is allocated towards, and just talk a little bit more about finances. If you are new here, hi, my name is Krista. I currently live in Tampa, Florida. I work from home as a data analyst in the healthcare finance field. And my channel is mainly a lifestyle channel. I love just taking you guys through my 20s. I am wedding planning. I love talking health and fitness, just everyday life, getting through our 20s. And a big part of that is finances. I am always sharing with you guys my savings goals, what I spend in a week. I love watching those videos, so I also love creating them. And I think they're super valuable for people to understand, to help understand how other people treat their money, but also just for financial literacy in general. Being aware of finances and what you should be doing with your money is so important to learn early on. So yeah, I just love sharing, and that is what we are going to be doing today. If you are new here, just stumbling upon this video, make sure that you subscribe, stick around. I've got my laptop here. I'm definitely going to be popping some things up on the screen here and there. Let me pull up my budget. My plan for this video is basically to walk you through, first off, how I budget. We can just talk about that in like a general sense. I'm gonna talk you through what comes out of my paycheck pre-tax and my pre-tax deductions. And then we'll talk about what I do with my actual take-home pay. We're gonna be talking about it mainly in percentage-wise. I'm not gonna share a lot of numbers, specific numbers, but mainly percentages. Quick disclaimer though. Have to do a little disclaimer. This is just what works for me. This is my situation. Definitely take everything with a grain of salt. Get second opinions on anything I'm about to tell you before you go and make big financial decisions. But this is just kind of my knowledge I've learned throughout the years and what works best for me. So first off, my income. Like I said, I am a data analyst. I work from home. I get paid bi-weekly, so I get paid every other week. I only live off my corporate income. So my budget, I base it completely off my corporate income. Whereas I do have a couple other sources of income, I guess you could say. One is social media. I don't make a lot off social media. I would say a couple $100 a month is what I make from social media. That would be YouTube AdSense, Amazon, other affiliate links. All in all, it's maybe $200 to $300 a month, but I don't include that in my budget. Any of that money that I get just goes straight to a savings account. I don't budget with that money. Same can be said with my Rover income. I do some dog sitting on the side here and there. Anything I make from that just goes straight into the savings account. I don't live off of that income. Both of those incomes are very variable, like I can't rely on them, so I don't include them in my budget because I don't think it's safe for me to live off of those. But my corporate income is pretty stable, bi-weekly pay, so that is what I live off of. I've talked about this many times before. I will have my free budgeting template linked down below that I use. It's very simple. I prefer like a simple template, so I can have that linked if you're curious. But something that I do is track every expense that comes out of my bank account. So pretty much every day I take 5 minutes, look at my bank account, see what came out, and I type it into my spreadsheet. This was the #1 thing I have done for myself this past year that helped me get control of my spending, understand where my money was going, and just really tighten up that budget quite a bit. How I spend my money, I put all of my expenses on my credit card. That makes sense to do that. So pretty much everything goes on my credit card. A lot of my bills go on my credit card. Any spending goes on my credit card. The only thing that I can think of that I don't put on my credit card is my rent. And that's because they have a really large service fee. I think it's like 5% to pay my rent with a credit card, and that just isn't worth it. But for the most part, I put all my expenses on my credit card because credit card points are amazing and it's free money. So I think if you can get a credit card with a really good point system, put everything on that credit card. There's no reason not to, unless you don't have good control of your spending. That would be my only caveat. So I put literally everything on my credit card and I pay it off at the end of every single month to rack up credit card points. These credit card points end up paying for a lot of flights that I take throughout the year. That's usually what I use them for, and other travel things. Credit cards can definitely be dangerous. I have done it myself where I've not been conscious of my spending and I rack up some credit card debt and then it takes me a few months to pay it off. There's been times when I didn't use my credit cards at all because I didn't have my spending under control. But now that I am just so financially focused lately and have really good control of my spending, I love my credit card, put everything on it, pay it off at the end of every month. There's no shame in, if you're still trying to learn to control your spending, putting your credit card in a drawer for a few months until you get it under control, and then you can take it back out and use it again. Perfectly honorable. I've had to do that. But once you have that control, credit cards are great. It's free money. Just be responsible with it. My credit card that I use for everything is the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. I do have a referral link I can leave in the description box. You get like 60,000 bonus points if you use my link. Not sponsored, but I genuinely love this card. It's really great for travel. You get 5 times the points if you book through Chase Travel. You get 3 times points on any dining. So overall, it's a great card and I've racked up points on it relatively quickly. That's kind of what I look for in a card, is how many points am I getting per purchase, and this one is really good. I think this card is really great. There is a $95 annual fee, but I easily rack up over $95 worth of points very quickly. So I think the fee is worth it. So I think it's a great beginner card for travel and for racking up a good amount of points. With that being said, I do usually budget more on a monthly basis. So every month when I'm tracking my expenses, I'm subtracting them from 2 paychecks, not 1. So for the most part, I will say my budgeting is monthly, and I can do that because I put all my expenses on my credit card, all my income goes into my bank account, and at the end of the month, I just wipe out the credit card. So that is normally how I budget, but for the sake of this video, I am gonna do a per paycheck kind of basis, but just know anything allocated from one paycheck is also allocated to my second. So if I say 40% of my paycheck goes to rent, the same as with the second paycheck. I feel like I've given you guys the basics of how I budget, how I spend my money, credit cards. Now let's get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty. So before my paycheck actually hits my bank account, I have 3 different pre-tax deductions that come out of my paycheck. The first one is my 401k, then I have my medical deductions, and then I have good old taxes. For my 401k, right now I'm putting in $162.89 per paycheck. I am putting in like the bare minimum amount that my employer matches. So if your employer matches up to say 3%, then you would want to put in 3% if you're going to do the minimum. If you can afford to do more, do more. There will definitely be points in my life where this will be increased, but right now I am focused on saving for other things. So for my retirement and things like that, I'm just doing just enough to get my full employer match. That's just kind of where I am in life right now. If you don't know what a 401k is, it's just a retirement plan where you can put money into an account for retirement before that money gets taxed. And a lot of corporate companies will match what you put in. So again, that's kind of where this free money comes in. Like how credit card points, I kind of call them free money. 401k, you kind of get free money if your employer does a match. After my 401k are my medical deductions, which includes my health insurance, and I have full vision and full dental insurance as well. Per paycheck, I pay $170.47, which I feel like is so expensive. Health insurance is something, even though I work in healthcare, I still find health insurance extremely, extremely expensive. I chose the highest coverage plan. It is a PPO plan because I just felt like I'm just gonna go with the most coverage. I don't really understand it, and it is a big chunk out of my paycheck, but that's what we're doing. My company does offer something, you basically get health credits. So if you do certain amount of workouts and get your steps in, and you have an app on your phone and you track it, and if you reach a certain amount by the end of the year, then you get a discount on your health insurance the next year. So I am working so hard to get that discount this year. I'm tracking my steps. I'm doing all the things I need to do to hopefully get that discount for next year. Fingers crossed, next year my health insurance deductions should be lower. But for now, this is what comes out every single paycheck. And lastly, taxes, of course. my taxes per paycheck are $451.44. That's crazy, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. I do live in Florida, so I do not have state income tax, which has been great. So it's a little bit less than it used to be when I was in North Carolina. So that is all my pre-tax paycheck deductions. And then whatever is left of my paycheck, that is what I get to live off of. So we're gonna say what I live off of, that is 100% of my income. That's what hits my bank account, the 100%. So now I have my take-home pay and I can allocate the rest of my paycheck to my living expenses and just everyday life. Starting with my bills that are non-negotiables from my paycheck, I immediately either pay the bill or put aside money for the bill. So these bills include my rent, my water, my car insurance, my phone, my pet insurance, gym, iCloud, and my federal student loan. These are things that come out of my account every month, no matter what, same amount. They're not super variable. So I always make sure to put aside money from each paycheck for these bills so that they can be paid when they are due. Starting with my rent, water, and amenity fees, that comes out to about 40% of my paycheck, which is definitely a big chunk. That's where a big chunk of my pay goes, is to live in my apartment. I believe the rule of thumb is that your rent should be about 1/3 of your income, which is 33%. I don't know where that rule of thumb came from, but that's always what I've heard. So mine is definitely a little bit higher than that. I am looking to lower that. Our lease is up here in September and we would like to pay a little bit less. We'll see. Honestly, I can live perfectly fine with the 40% going to my rent, but obviously if we're able to save money in that category, that would be great. So yeah, 40% of my income, I go ahead and put that aside for my rent. And then I put aside another 20% for those other bills that I listed. So the car insurance, the phone bill, the pet insurance, my current gym subscription, which is a hot yoga studio, my iCloud storage, and my federal student loan. So between my rent and all of those extra bills, that is 60% of my income. Right now with my federal student loan, I am paying only slightly over the minimum because we have other things that we are saving for, as you guys know, and as I will talk about when we get into our savings area of my paycheck. But right now with my federal student loan, I'm paying a little bit over $300 a month on that, and that is just over the minimum. In the future, that is definitely something I plan to increase, but for now it's just not a huge priority of mine. I have student loans mainly from my master's degree. I have one teeny tiny loan left from my undergrad, but my master's is where most of my student loan debt comes from. Student loan debt is a tough one. I think there's a lot of different opinions on if it's worth it to take out loans, if you should just go to community college, if you have to take out loans. Like, there's all kinds of opinions and thoughts, and I just think it's very personal to every single person in the situation that they are currently in. I definitely don't like having student loans. I don't like it looming over my head, but I am happy that I have a master's. So it's kind of some give and take there. So now I have about 40% left of my income, which I can use on variable expenses and savings. So I kind of distribute it between those two. Every month is a little bit different. From what I have calculated, I believe my variable expenses come out to about 25%. And by variable expenses, I mean things we also kind of need to live, but a little bit of fun money in there too. So this is groceries, gas, going out to restaurants, going to get coffee, getting my nails done. That stuff comes out to about 25% of my paycheck. So I basically like to keep that 25% in my checking account at all times. Again, I usually put that stuff on my credit card, and then at the end of the month, I have that money in my checking account to just pay that off. And then the last part of my paycheck is my current savings. So with what I have left is basically what I put into savings. It's at minimum about 15% of my paycheck. I aim for more, so if I can get those variable expenses down lower, then whatever is left goes into my savings. But for the sake of the video, we'll say usually about 15% of my income goes into savings. And I have a couple different accounts. First one is a Roth IRA. I usually put about 2% of my paycheck in. The second one is an emergency fund, which is in an investment account currently. That one, I also put about 2% of my paycheck in. And then we have my big high yield savings joint account with my fiance. That is just kind of our savings for our life, but right now it's mainly for our wedding. That leaves about 10 to 12% that goes in the wedding savings account. So yeah, kind of 3 different savings buckets: the Roth IRA, the investment account, and the high yield savings account. I am very lucky in the fact that, one, I've always enjoyed finances, but also I've always been interested in it and just kind of financially literate because my stepdad is a financial advisor and I grew up with that. My mom and him have been married for like 15 years, so he's been part of my life since I was a kid. And I actually worked in his financial advising office through college. I would go in and work a couple days a week. So the day, maybe not the day, but the week I turned 18, I opened a Roth IRA and started putting like $50 a month into it because I just saw the benefit of that so early on. That compound interest is your best friend. The earlier you open a Roth IRA, even if you're putting the minimum in it, which is like, I think $50, if you start that early on, the compound interest will be just amazing. A Roth IRA is a retirement account, so you can't take money out of it until later in life. The money you put in is your paycheck money, so it's after tax money, but anything you take out of it, so that interest that you get, is tax free. So that's kind of the benefit of it. There's little tax benefits to having a Roth IRA. Okay, I looked it up. You can withdraw the money without paying any taxes on it after 59 and a half. So it's not instant gratification by any means, but it is a great place to put your money for retirement that will grow with time. Again, common theme here, I'm not putting a lot into the Roth IRA. I'm pretty much putting in the minimum to that, but at least I'm putting something in because I am trying to put most of my free money into our high yield savings account for our wedding. I do put money into retirement. I have my 401k and I have my Roth IRA. Then I have my emergency fund, which is in an investment account. I put in, again, like the minimum of this every single month. I'm trying to grow it to 3 months worth of expenses. It's not there yet, but hopefully we'll get there. And it's just in like an individual investment account. Investment accounts are better for things that you plan to leave longer term, so a few years or so. I don't really plan to touch this money as long as we don't have any emergencies, so that's why I have it in that account, because I don't need quick access to it. And I'm just hoping that it grows a little bit in that investment account. And lastly, our wedding savings account. We currently have that in a high yield savings account. It is with Capital One. I'll do a little savings update. We are at 35% to goal. We have like a number we would like to hit in that account, and we are at 35%. So we're definitely getting there. This account, I call it our wedding savings account, but it's just kind of our savings account for life, right? For whatever cars, homes, moving, whatever expenses we have in the future, that's what this account is kind of for. But we just are really like zeroed in on saving for the wedding, as I have mentioned so many times. So that's kind of why I call it that. And if I have any extra money every month, that is the savings account that it goes into. So on top of the 12% or so that I'm putting in from my paycheck, all of my social media money is going in there, all of my Rover money, any extra money I have goes into that account. And then sometimes we have bad months. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put that full 12% in that savings account this month, for example, because we had some unexpected expenses this month, but shit happens. We're doing the best that we can. And honestly, I think we are doing a really great job. I love breaking out my paychecks and seeing where my money is going and just really having knowledge on that. I think that is all you really can do, is be aware of your financial situation and make the most of it. All right, guys, I think that is all that I have for you with this video. Just kind of walked through breaking down the paycheck, what I do every single month. If you have any questions or anything, definitely leave them down below. Make sure you subscribe if you are not already. And with that being said, I will see you guys so very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.